What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Pray everybody's doing well this evening, this beautiful spring evening. Got another great topic for us tonight. Last night I was talking about what was I talking about? Um, turn the other cheek. That's what it was. We was talking about turn the other cheek. So we were taught growing up that turn the other cheek. A lot of us, we thought turn the other cheek meant we supposed to turn the other cheek, turn the other side and let them slap the other side. But that's most definitely not what Jesus was talking about. Jesus was telling you to stand up for yourself. Back in the Bible days, the people that felt that they was above people and felt that they was better than people, they would slap them, they would backhand them. But then to stand up to them, man, that's a different story. So that's what the Lord was telling us to do, telling them to stand up. So when the person stood up to the person that backhanded them, they backed down. Like they wasn't expecting that. So yeah, we talked for a whole hour talking about how to deal with disrespect. I think I had like 10 things of showing that people showing how people disrespect you, and I think another 5 things to help you in different situations of disrespect. So tonight we got another good old conversation. So we've talked about this one time before, but it's in the news like every day. We're talking about immigrants, and I titled this "No More Immigrants." Maybe get some people attention. I think some people feel that no more immigrants. And I remember growing up, a lot of the migrant workers would come through like different seasons. There were different sets of migrants that would come through. They would come and do a lot of the work in the fields. And then when the season was over, they were, as far as I know, they would disappear. They would go back home. I believe they were going back to Mexico. And then the next season, they'll be right back working the fields. It's not, it's some hard work. I don't really see a lot of Americans getting out there being and doing the replacements. So this is called Stranger Among Us, or Strangers Among Us. What does the Bible really say about immigrants or immigration? So we're going to be going that route. A lot of people there saying, "Hey, we're doing what the Bible say," but it's hard. It's breaking my heart. Put it that way. It's breaking my heart when I see a lot of these families that are getting torn apart. I'm seeing. I think that immigration ICE just got more. I don't know if I need to stop saying their names, but they've gotten more authority now where they can just bust up into anybody's home now. Anybody home. Americans, it doesn't matter. They pretty much have immunity to bust up at anybody's home. So it's coming home. Like a lot of people think that doesn't affect me, doesn't have anything to do with me, but it's hitting home. It's getting closer and closer to you. And I think a lot of people think, hey, that's just the people, the brown people. That's not the only people that's not wanted here right now. So we're going to get into it. So I really would like to have a good discussion, conversation about it. But I'm just go ahead with my findings and my opinions, and then I'll welcome other people's opinion. So I'm going to be getting a lot of different scriptures. And a lot of times I like to reference the King James version, and when I'm really digging, I want to go back to the original. Um, the New Testament would be Greek, Old Testament would be Hebrew. So that's why I've been learning a lot of stuff, a lot of understanding of the Bible by going back to the Hebrew. So yeah, you can dig and try to figure out what the Old English was saying, but that was a translation. That was a translation from Latin, and Latin was a translation. And I don't know if you know why so many American words. I'm going off in the wrong direction again. But why so many American words don't make sense or don't add up? Called Latin is so chopped up. Latin pretty much took bits and pieces from this language and that language and this language and that language and put it together. Some people call it, I think, like a Frankenstein language. So that's why a lot of stuff that we say in spellings, especially spellings, they're like, why in the world you spell that way? It was Latin. So I think some of that kind of confuses some of the translations. So that's why I try to go back all the way back to the original, go back to the Hebrew, and then like, okay, what did it say in Hebrew, or what was going on during that time? So sometimes they change it to an old English word that really didn't pertain to what was going on in the biblical times. All right, so I'll just explain a little bit how I do my Bible studying. So we're going to be talking about how, again, what does the Bible say about immigrants? And then going on, how does that tie in to us now, to present day? So today's show will be, like I said, it's called Strangers Among Us. Are there strangers among us? Y'all know me. I call myself Elder Lil Joe. So we're going to be talking again. We're going to talk about this. It's a tough topic. So we are going to be crossing what faith, political, and humanity, how all three of those cross each other in this subject of immigration here, especially in this country. So for one, how do we treat immigrants? That's the number one biggest question. We'll look at what the Bible says. The Bible says about, what does the Bible say about strangers or foreigners in your land, and people coming through? So basically, immigrants, and we like to say illegal immigrants, but who decided, illegal. It's going to be a different view. A lot of times that's what I'd like to look at things at different angles. It's not always black and white. That's what I like to say. I think I had a show one time called "It's Not Always Black and White." It's multiple angles to look at different things. So we're going to be looking at different facts. What's going on, like with crime, the economy. Is it affecting or making America great, or making America worse? So we're going to see how all this ties in with immigration. All right, I'm going to start off with, I'm going to go to the Old Testament and then work my way to the New Testament. A lot of people are like, we not in the Old Testament anymore. We're under the New Covenant, so we don't have to deal with anything in the Old Testament. Let's just see what the Lord had to say originally in the Old Testament, and then we can move forward into the New Testament. So basically, the Torah, that's really what and the Jewish people, that's what they're still reading. That's Old Testament. So in Leviticus 19:33 through 34, and if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with ye, you shall be unto you as born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. Does that sound familiar? Like, love thy neighbor as thyself. And just the people that's living beside you are not just your neighbors. Is everybody's your neighbor? This is a clear call to equality and love, not suspicious and exclusion. And I just think I just said a bad word. That bad word of equality. There's a lot of people think that word equality is a bad and destructive and evil word. It's not. Equality is not a bad word. So we're going to move forward. We're going on to Exodus 22:21. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him. So you're not supposed to treat the stranger, the immigrant, wrong. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. So the Israelites were being reminded that at one point they were immigrants. They were living somewhere where it wasn't their land, that wasn't their original homeland. God, so he expect them to not forget. But we live in a country of immigrants. That's what this country is made up of immigrants. Only one that was really here already was the Native Americans. So the country is built on immigration and immigrants, but now we have turned the table and made the immigrant the enemy. Ah, so I still heard another verse, Deuteronomy 10:18-19. He doeth judge, he doeth execute the judgment for the fatherless and widow, and loving the stranger, and giving him food and raiment. It's like food and clothes. Love ye therefore the stranger. So we see multiple times in the word of God, our Heavenly Father is telling us to be kind and love and be tender and help the stranger and not treat them like trash, not throw them in prison and throw away the key. That's not what our Lord is telling us to do. Okay, so what does it say in the New Testament? Matthew 25:35. For I was hungry. I was hungry. I was hungry. So, this is the Lord talking. So I was hungry, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. And I was a stranger, and you took me in. So then the people was like, when was that? So that was, Jesus was talking about the people on earth. He was in these different people. And so the ones who didn't do this, he's going to say, I never knew you. So he's telling you that he is expecting us to be good to those, especially like the homeless, the widow, the people who don't have anything, especially those ones that don't have any means, any way to repay you, or even a stranger. Yeah, you can say a homeless person is a stranger, but even a person that's trying to escape persecution or trying to escape certain death, trying to escape certain starvation to come here. And we brag about being the most wealthiest country in the world. But now at the same time, we're like, no, we just look out for us. See that selfishness. The Bible said men will be lovers of themselves. So you can see that. So let's pause and ask ourselves, if Jesus said, welcome to strangers, if Jesus says welcome to strangers is welcoming him, what does it say about America right now, or how America is acting right now, or what is America doing right now? What would Yeshua, what would the Savior say about what's going on in America now? Would he be happy? Would he be happy with what's going on? So, how immigrants are treated in America? Families are separated with different policies, even at the border. So people say they're coming in illegally. So it was an illegal means to come to the border and turn yourself in, especially if you have a legit reason to seek asylum or different things. You're supposed to come to the border, surrender yourself. And we had policies where people were being obedient to that, and they were separating the kids. So then we have these long asylum. So this stuff taking years. So people say they should follow the rules. Okay, they're following the rules, but still the rules are so tied up that would take a lot of this stuff takes years to even try to get protection. So that's sometimes they go to the judge, they plead their case to the judge. This is what would happen if I go back home. I'm a dead man. If I go back home, my family is dead. So I'm coming to here to America to seek asylum. Okay, now they are told their next step, what to do, when the next report date. But now those same people who was given a date, now they're grabbing them and throwing them in detention centers, or even thrown in jail, thrown in prisons. So a lot of times the politicians use immigrants as scapegoats during the elections. I guess you know that too. So we got to have our rally cry. We got to have an enemy to go get. We have to have an enemy. We have to have a bad guy for us all to rally around and to get you to vote for me so I can go destroy that enemy. Yeah. Okay. So migrants being bused to cities without warning, treated like political pawns. I don't know if y'all remember where not only buses, different states, even our state, our governor took the money from the citizens and put money into a plane and sent a plane to Texas so that our state could be involved, like making sure that we were in the fight. So we sent a plane over to Texas and tricked a bunch of immigrants, got them get on the plane and flew them, I forget which northern state. So this was millions of dollars for this political stunt. Okay. So it seems some Christians in America use the Bible to judge, but not to love. You hear that? A lot of quote unquote Christians, it's hard to even say that they're true believers, but a lot of American Christians use the Bible to judge people, but they do not use the Bible to show them how to love. We're quick to post verses on Sunday, but forget about Leviticus 19 the rest of the week. So yeah, as long as we in the church house, yeah, we do what the Bible says. But when we leave the church house, we can do what we want to do and do what the politicians say do. So let's talk about crime, the truth about crime and immigration. Immigrants increase crime. That's what a lot of politicians say. Immigrants increase crime. But studies show, you can fact check it, you can look it up. I looked it up. Studies show that cities with high immigration populations have lower crime rates. What? I bet you say, what? What? Yes. You can look it up. Cities with high immigration populations have lower crime rates. The FBI and other enforcement reports, they confirm that non-born or non-American, non-Native Americans commit crimes. I'm twisting this all up. The FBI and other officers, a lot of law enforcement, they report and they confirm that the natives, I'm not even talking about Native Americans, I'm talking about the regular folks that live in America. The regular folks in America commit crimes way higher, at a very higher rate than for the immigrants. That's facts. That's some facts. So it kind of proves my point. Like if I'm here and I'm trying to stay safe and trying to stay hidden, would I be out there committing crimes? So don't get me wrong. Yes, there are some out there, some you're not supposed to call them out a dummy, but some dummies out there still committing crimes. And then I even say I say some legit crimes. I bet you say a legit crime. I call legit crimes. Like if you legitly about to starve to death and you have a family legitly about to starve to death and you just steal enough trying to get some food to make it through the day or make it through the night, I call that a legit crime. Yeah, you still got to, get punished. Get punished for doing that. but I call that legit. You're trying to survive. But all this other nonsense, no, that's crazy. So, but on the most part, uh, immigrants, um, they fear getting caught. They fear getting deported. So on statistics show they're going to be on their best behavior. They're going to be in their best behavior. So when you are around their neighborhoods, that's going to be a safer place to be than the regular Americans. That a lot of them that could care less. They don't care about the authority. They don't care about committing crimes. They don't care about getting arrested. All that. But you with a bunch of immigrants, yeah, they don't want to. They don't want cause any kind of attention to being brought to them. So they're gonna be on their P's and Q's. So what about the economy? So anyway, we just debunked. So when they talk about the immigrants are committing so many crimes. That's not true. And all majority of the people that are getting rounded up, that they don't have any proof. So that's why they're not giving them due process. We know what due process is. Due process is to be able to go before a judge and plead your case. Uh, and that's due process is due to the immigrant and the American citizen. So it's due to everybody. So not all because and somebody just decides I think you're I think you're illegal, so I'm gonna take everything from you, strip you down, and take you to another country and lock you up, and you could don't have the ability to plead your case. That's that's illegal. So let's move on to the. But anyway, I just say a lot of stuff is going on just by grabbing people, and then they come in unmarked cars in masks, nothing on the uniform, just kidnapping people. I call it kidnapping because if you haven't officially announced who you are, you haven't officially announced the authority that gave you the right to arrest a person. And I don't know if you're supposed to tell the person if they what crime they committed before you arrest them. But anyway, that's another story. But I know they're supposed to read them the Miranda rights. So I guess if they consider you an immigrant, you have no rights. So you don't even have the Miranda rights. So they're just snatching up people, and next thing you know, a lot of people in another country never went before a judge, never had their due day in court, they never had the due process, and now this it's happening to American American citizens that can prove themselves. We had the case here in Florida where they arrested a young man. He was just going to Tallahassee. He was a passenger. They pulled the car over for some reason, asked for his um, ID. I don't think he must didn't have an ID. He gets arrested, but he did get a day in court. So his mom actually brought his birth certificate to prove that he was a legal citizen, and the judge was accepted, but the other federal government refused to accept that, so they still kept him in custody. So we have another situation where these organizations have arrested the judges now. So I think that they're just pushing as hard as they can and see what they can get away with. You know how your kids used to do that. They would push and push and push and see what they can get away with, and they're getting away with a lot of stuff these days. So let's go. Let's move forward. Let's go ahead and jump to the economy. I think the effect the economy is well, anyway. A lot of the immigrants took the hard jobs, the low paying jobs that many of us Americans avoided, like agricultural, food service, taking care of the elderly, roof. I can remember as a kid, I tried, and I didn't think too much about it. What did I do? I can remember this one trip we went on was to picking cucumbers. So it was the cousins. My cousins went to a particular church, and I don't know how that worked. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. All I know of my cousin, hey, we're gonna go pick cucumbers on this particular day. You want to go with us? You can make some money. That's all I need to hear. Make some money. I'm there. So it was a big beat up bus. I think they picked us up from the church and loaded up with a bunch of us kids. It was, I don't know. I think they had a whole bus load of people. Don't even know. I wonder if it was the whole church, a church outing to go pick cucumbers. So we loaded up. So we were gonna be working in the field all day. So I was ready. Well, thought I was ready. So we go out to the field, and I think, even if I remember correctly, I think a Hispanic guy was in charge. So we get there, and they said, okay, you take these buckets and you fill the buckets up. So you get paid by the amount of buckets that you fill up. So that's it. That's all they told us. That's all I knew. So we out there all day picking cucumbers, and some of those cucumbers was huge, big, and then there were some small ones. But for some reason, I tell you, it had to be the Lord. I don't know why. It's like the Lord had me to pick some small ones, but I was really trying to grab the biggest ones. The bigger ones you get, the faster you fill the bucket up. So I get all these big ones every once in a while. I put some little ones, fill my bucket up, go turn it in. That's one. Um, and no, I think we sat it. Yeah, I think we sat it and had all your buckets together somehow. But okay, so anyway, so after picking cucumbers all day, we took a lunch break, and then they had us out there again for about another 4 hours. And then they finally said, okay, enough picking cucumbers. It's time to get paid. So you got paid on the spot. So I forget how they separated our buckets, but I remember, like, okay, time for my buckets. So I remember, like, they say to my cousin, they dump all theirs out. It would go with this machine, shifted them and everything. So all the big ones would land in be sorted one area that would probably go to the grocery stores, and then these other small ones were separated, and they was put in another bin, and they weighed the little ones. They discarded. They didn't really pay for the big ones, so we was really confused. So I had my cousins. Most of them, they didn't have any small ones because they had all the big ones. They really didn't make any money. And when it was my turn, they shipped, and I had a little bit, not much, but a little bit of small ones, and I got paid for those. And so we were trying to figure what was going on, what the people was doing. They wanted those little bitty pickles that goes in those sweet pickles that I love. That's what they was looking for. They wanted to pick those small ones. They didn't give us any instructions. Yeah, I don't know if they might have, if they told us in Spanish. I don't know, but it was a rough day to work out there for 8 hours, and I think just had enough money to buy some sodas, some crackers, and maybe some candy, and that was it. Well, I was hot, thinking, you're counting in your head how much money you think you're gonna make that day, and that's all I made was just a snack, maybe a couple of dollars left over. It was hardly nothing. I don't see Americans doing that. I did it once, and my other cousins, my cousins, they would prime tobacco. They made a lot of money. I called a lot of money when they did the tobacco. I went out there one day. Those cucumbers, not cucumbers, they had these caterpillars big as your thumb, or these big fat green. I couldn't get past those. So I couldn't do it. So yeah, it was, and we played around. Saw cotton. And we got machines now, but I went and pulled one little piece of cotton out, and all those sticky briars, and you stick your hand in to get the cotton, and all these briars sticking in. So I can't imagine doing that all day. So I've seen moves where their hands be all bloody from picking the cotton. I don't see it. It's a lot of lazy Americans. I don't see lazy Americans doing that. So, all right, I keep on going down these roads. So the economy. So they would take a lot of these hard jobs that I don't see too many Americans doing. But I think they're trying to. They're lowering the work age. Here in Florida, they're lowering the age or getting rid of any kind of job restriction for the children. So I think the plan is to get the children out there in the field. Um, so these hardworking immigrants, they pay billions in taxes. Yeah, even the undocumented um, immigrants, some of them when they come to the border and they set up to their date in court. Some of them they're given the right to work until to then, or some people may have get green cards, or some have some kind of temporary status. So it's a lot of different statuses. So a lot of were legally given a means, and even a Social Security number for taxes and Social Security to be taken out. So you can imagine you are an immigrant. The government gives you a Social Security number so you can work legally, earn money, so the government can legally take money out of your check and put it towards our hurting Social Security system. But since you're not a citizen, you're not going to have access to it. You can pay into the system, but you can't access it because you're not a citizen. Maybe if you become a citizen, you can probably have access to it later. But for the time being, they're going to take the money out of your check, take taxes out of your check, help, you work in the country, so you're paying taxes to help the country. Many of them probably paying more taxes than there's these super rich. So they are helping the economy move forward by them working and being a productive temporary citizen. So, and then let's look at the birth rates in America are falling. If you look at the birth rates around the world in other countries, it is crazy. So, and just look at the numbers. We are around the last I heard, we're around 340 million Americans, give or take. Other countries or China like hitting the 3 billion. I think India is 1.3, 1.4 billion, something like that. So they're in the billions, and we're not even half a billion. So if you want to sustain and keep a country going, you need your population to grow. There's a lot of countries, especially in Europe, where their population are growing. The younger people are not having children, or the younger people are leaving, and the elderly are dying off. So they are welcoming immigrants. They want immigrants to come in to keep their country going. Can you believe that? They need people to come and replenish their country. I believe we need the people that we have here, but we want to kick them out. So we need the immigrants to keep the workforce strong and to continue to keep supporting, holding up the Social Security. So I guess I've seen a lot of farmers that some about to go bankrupt. So they're getting hit hard twice. They're getting hit by the tariffs. So a lot of countries that they were selling their products to are not buying it from them. And then many of them, they had a lot of immigrants working for them. So now they don't have a workforce, and they don't have a buyer. So that's a double whammy. Oh, I guess one day I might, if I can get a farmer to talk about how they're dealing with that situation. Your workforce has been diminished, and then your customer has been taken away from you for things that you need to run your business. You got to pay all these extra tariffs on it. It's crazy. So without new immigrants, America would age into an economy or economic collapse. Yes, a lot of these immigrants that are hated or want to get thrown out, they are really been holding our economy, helping us hold our economy up. Not everything, but they've been helping hold the economy up. So now what we're going to see, I think they're like a leg, a very important part of the economy. And we're kicking that leg, we're breaking that leg, we're ripping that leg off without, you know, with a plan, without a plan on how are we going to survive without that leg. We're missing the leg. We're cutting our own leg off. We're not being wise So we do want to repair that leg or do something to solve this issue. You don't just chop it off without a plan. So far, the way it's happening is just chop it off, and whatever happens, happens. Just deal with it instead of being wise. So I just wanted to throw in this little bit of. I was thinking like, what are some other famous immigrants that they were really wasn't really welcome to, where they were going, but they did great for the land that they moved to. So I got Albert Albert Einstein. He was an immigrant. He was a refugee from Germany. He got this escaped Germany, but everybody know um, all the different things that Albert Einstein did. So he was an immigrant. He could have been deported, sent back to Germany. He could have been killed. Levi Strauss, he was German, a German Jewish immigrant, created the Levi's jeans. Mm. So it was fine for him to escape what was going on over there. Madeleine Albright escaped Nazis, became U.S. Secretary of State. So see, it was people could come over here, come to America, and become great and do great things. I gotta say, Elon Musk. We know Elon Musk is African. He was born in South Africa. You know, all the different things that he's done with the Tesla, the SpaceX. A lot of the technical things. A lot of people are not happy with him. I think he was all right. I think he was all right with a lot of people until he decided to get into politics and was given free reign into the government. So he's around here wondering, like, why do people don't like me? Why they don't like me? I haven't did anything. Oh my, okay. Multi-hundred, around $400 billion billionaire, and you're coming after people trying to take $20, $30 away from the poor people, and you wonder why people don't like you. Okay, Rihanna, she's an immigrant from the Caribbean. You know, I don't know, did she become a billionaire yet? So she's doing great things here in America. The truth is, America didn't just welcome immigrants. Immigrants helped build America. So you want to talk about the Statue of Liberty? I heard that France was like upset with America and they wanted the statue back. I don't know if that was real or a joke, but so the Statue of Liberty became that point where people was immigrating to America, coming to America because of different persecution, different things that happened in their home country, and even the original colonists, they were immigrants to the country. They didn't have no paperwork. So I imagine all these other immigrants with different wars, where most of what we're talking about, like mostly from Europe. So they really had to welcome Matt coming from Europe. So they had wars and famines and persecutions and religious persecutions, all different reasons to come to America or like to come to America for a better life. And they were welcomed in. But now it's like, because they don't look right, we don't want them in. We don't want them. They're not welcome. So the Bible is clear. We are commanded to love. We are commanded to protect. And we are commanded to welcome the stranger. Huh? What? Where's that in the Bible? It's not political. It's spiritual. So a lot of people, they're so strong with the political now. Patriotism, that's been defiled. So patriotism and selfishness, as I call it, selfishness and greed has gotten in the way of the love of God coming through us. So we've let the political, the flesh, overpower the spiritual. So remember, God said, if we bless those, we bless those in need, God will bless us. So somebody, I saw a post about, yeah, this person, they found out that um, so many, I guess, like, I don't know how you can become I don't know if it's possible you can be a veteran in the military and not be a citizen. When I was in the Navy, I know there was a lot of guys from the Philippines. So I guess it's a lot of guys. I had 80 guys in my company. It seemed like half of them was from the Philippines. So I guess we had a deal with Philippines where a lot of those guys could come and join the U.S. military and serve some time. Um, and a lot of those guys had to have a degree. These guys, a lot of these guys, they had bachelors. I don't know if they had masters. I know they had to have college degrees, and then they were still getting cook jobs and washing dishes. Some crazy jobs. So they didn't pay attention to their degrees. But yeah, I did see a lot of non-citizens serving in our military. Not sure how it's done today. So, but somebody was like, yeah, they found these illegal immigrants getting benefits from the VA. I'm kind of like, okay, so we found out these people right here were benefiting, and I wrote on the post. I'm like, so what? And I really understood when somebody posted. It was another post I saw where it said Democrats will feed 100 people that may not deserve it to make sure one person don't go hungry, and the Republicans will not feed 100 people to make sure that not one of them, if one of them doesn't deserve it, none of them is going to get it. So they was like, okay, we're not feeding nobody because I think we got one in the crowd that might need it, might eat, and they don't deserve it. The Democrats think the other way around. Let's make sure we feed everybody, and we don't care if there's one in there that don't deserve it, so that we shouldn't punish everybody. So that you can kind of see where the two parties bump heads. One is trying to be caring, and the other one is like, it's mine, and I'm not sharing. I'm rich. I want to continue to be rich, and I'm not sharing. I'm not helping nobody. I'm not going to help feed starving people. I don't care. So that's the big difference. So when someone say, "Oh, there was $500,000 feeding the Meals on Wheels," so okay, we should be helping people. But yeah, it's crazy. But the way immigrants are treated in America today doesn't line up with God's word or our own nation's values. It's time to return to compassion. It's time to return to the truth. It's time to return back to justice. Let's not be like the priest who walked past that wounded man in the Good Samaritan story. So y'all know, you remember the Good Samaritan story? But there was a man, let's say it was a Jewish guy, that got beat up. The snot got beat up out of him. He beat down, bruised and bleeding. And there was a politician walking by. Oop, got to go on the other side of the street. Can't touch that. And then there's a religious person walking by, and whoop, there's that guy in bad shape right there. Let me cross over the street and get away from that. So then the Samaritan, they call him the Good Samaritan. Y'all know what that was about. The Jews had no dealings with the Samaritans. Basically, they was racist against the Samaritans. They had no dealings. Samaritans was really a mixed breed. It was Jewish people mixed with other people come up with the Samaritans. So I guess the quote unquote pure Jews and I might be jacking the story up, but the pure uh, Jew Jew had no dealings with the Samaritans. They didn't like them. They couldn't stand them. Didn't want to do nothing to do with them. But when this Samaritan saw a Jew, probably a person that he knew that didn't like him, couldn't stand him, probably if he, was well, he wouldn't deal with, I don't know how he would have treated him, but they wouldn't have been interacting with each other. But he knew that. But he still helped him. He still took him to a inn. I was about to say motel, but motel means a motor vehicle. So they took him to an inn and paid for the night and told the innkeeper, hey, whatever he needs, whatever money it takes to take care of this guy that I know that doesn't like me, let me know. And when I come back through, I'll take care of everything. And that's what he did. He was being neighborly. He took care of a neighbor, a person that he didn't, knew that didn't like him, knew that his people didn't like him, but he had the understanding of how you're supposed to treat your neighbor, how to let God's light shine through his house. I don't know if that person even knew God, but I believe he had to. I believe he had to had so much love of God in him that he had to help by any means necessary. So now can you imagine how much God was missing from the religious person or the other political person, that one who's supposed to be teaching, supposed to be the example of the community, supposed to be the example. And your example was, I see a fellow man beat up on the side of the road. Ain't none of my business. I'm gonna mind my business and keep it stepping. And then a priest, and I guess they still could have okay, found somebody and say, hey, could you go help him out? I don't want to get my clothes dirty. So can you go help him? They just crossed over, went on about their business. And I hope the priest might have prayed for him. But sometimes, I always say we pray for the homeless. I think a lot of times God is telling us we need to do something ourselves. We are God's mouthpiece. So God wants to work through us. So we're his mouthpiece. We're his hands. We're his feet. He blessed us with means, with money, transportation, blessed us with a whole lot of different things. So when there's people in need and we say somebody should do something, a lot of times I believe God is expecting us to be that somebody. But a lot of times we like, well, somebody else is going to come along. Let me walk on the other side of the road and maybe somebody else will come along. But if you felt that tug in your heart, I know somebody that's watching this, you felt that tug in your heart that you supposed, somebody should do something. Like, man, I should do something. I've had it so many times where I've seen somebody in different situations and I've driven past them and it bothered me so much that sometimes I had to turn around, or sometimes if I did, I went and took care of what I was taking care of. And then I went and got something to help the people. And then I went hunting them down. I said, I got to find them. Yeah, I see people in the rain, I see people in the cold. I think we done been out there late at night. We thought we saw somebody and we came home and grabbed some stuff and went back and looked for them. So now if you really got the heart of Christ, or the Lord is in your heart, you're going to be feeling the tug and you're going to have to try to do something. And I believe that's what that good Samaritan felt. He didn't care how much it cost. So it was a tug on his heart to do something. So I believe we should support the immigrants and immigrants' rights and different organizations. I don't support and believe in the people who are committing crimes, but I guess you see now everybody's been thrown all into one big bundle, and then they change. I guess they changed the law to make the law be, if you are not documented, now you're a criminal. So that made it a crime. So now what we're gonna do? On May 7th? I think I talked about this on another show about the birth certificates and the real ID. So now a lot of Americans, what are they going to do on May 7th if they don't have the real ID? What I think I said it was around 18 million Americans that don't have a birth certificate. So there's a lot of people born during the Jim Crow era. They wasn't able to go to the hospital. They wasn't able to be born there to be able to get the paperwork and birth certificates. And some was born in rural areas. Some was born way back up in places. Some was so dirt poor, a lot of different reasons, but they never received the birth certificate. And some people, getting close to 100 years old, never had a birth certificate. But some, like, now you're not going to be able to do different things. Probably not going to be, we always say you can't go, you're not going to be able to drive. And like I said, not even, like I said, not only just 100 people, 100 years old. I say people in there, but it could be all ages. Let's just put it that way. It could be all ages. I'm still thinking more leaning older people. So I believe a lot of the younger people, most people are born in hospital, majority of people out there, just quote unquote civil rights. We was able to, most people were born in hospitals, but before then, people were born before then. So these people in their 60s and 70s and 80s. So that was a lot of people, a lot of Americans at that age that don't have birth certificates. So now they're kind of like going to be treated less than a citizen because they don't have a birth certificate. Then they're not going to be able to vote. A lot of women at the moment, let's just change in particular states, they're not going to be able to vote because their birth certificate doesn't match their new marital name. So they're going to be given a hard time trying to vote. And like I said, we know if you don't know, May 7th, next week, the real ID goes in effect. If you don't have that real ID star, if you hadn't taken your birth certificate to the DMV, I think it was Monday. I did a show about it. I was showing a different long lines of people at DMVs. A lot of people kind of waited to the last minute, or some people just now finding out about the real ID. So we know that illegals can't get that. So what does that mean? They said a lot of buildings, a lot of federal buildings, a lot of things that you're trying to take care of business. You're not even going to be able to go in the building without the real ID. Flying around America, I'm not even talking about leaving the country. You need your passport to leave the country. You need your ID passport, your birth certificate for that. But just to get on an airplane and fly to the next state or fly from coast to coast, you are not going to be able to get on a plane and board a flight without the real ID. So I think people don't really understand what it's all about. It's getting real. And I think some places, they want you to even travel with your ID, whether you're driving or not. They want you to have this ID on you. So it's getting kind of bad, kind of like being turned into a police state. So kind of like one of the reasons why I got on this topic about immigration, because I see so many people, especially quote unquote people who call themselves Christians, they're happy about what's happening to the immigrants. And I don't think we should be happy about it. Even if you agree with the policy of taking immigrants out of the country, you still shouldn't be happy about lives being turned upside down like that. So I hate to say a lot of times you're going to reap what you sow. That's all I can say. Some people are going to reap what they sow. If they laughing at the situations, they laughing at what's happened to people. They laughing at people losing their job and they're fine with it. They're going to reap what they sow. So I pray for those, especially, like I said, these families where the people are being good citizens. They are not documented. They don't have the right documents. Well, some do, but some don't have the right documents. But they're being better citizens, better United States citizens than a lot of the citizens that does have documents. So they're doing, working and building and raising a family and working and helping the economy. And then all of a sudden, we look in the computer, I don't see the right paperwork. Oh, they're waiting for a court date in 2 months, but we're going to kick them out of the country before their court date. They're not legal until they go to court. So all we got to do is make sure they don't make it to their court date. They're never going to become a citizen. So that stuff is going to catch up with people. It's going to catch up. So a lot of times we see these people laughing and picking at people for those situations. And then before long, you see them making videos crying about what happened to them. So you were laughing 1 minute and now you're crying what your situation. So I feel, like I said, I wouldn't wish this was happening on the immigrants. And then who's next? That's my question. Who is next? Let's say hypothetically, all the quote unquote, undocumented immigrants are removed. They say, I think the number was around 18. I think it was 18 million. I think take away 18 million. Can you imagine what's that going to do to the workforce? Oh my, just 18 million people yanked. 18, imagine, let's say just half of those people were working and paying rent. So now all those people that was collecting rent no longer getting the rent. And those people working on the job, so employees lost that many people in their jobs. It's just bad. But where was I going? I forgot. So that is just, I would just like for us to continue to talk about it. I want us to talk because I don't want to get to the point. It's like we sit around, stay passive, and don't say anything until it hits home, until it hits us. I think that's what happened to a lot of people with the Nazis, with the Germans. I think a lot of people like, yes, let's get rid of all these immigrants. And at that time, it was the Jews. The Jews became the focal point and the enemy, became enemy of the one person, then became the enemy of the government. So the government made them the enemy of the people. So they were pulled out and thrown in prison into another country, in Poland. Does that sound familiar? So you took them out of sight, out of mind. You just yanked them out. You just yanked them from their homes and threw them on a train, sent them to another country, locked them up. Why does it sound like we're kind of repeating? We're doing stuff again the same. So I would like for us to continue these type of conversations. We need to talk about it. We shouldn't stay silent. Again, if they do take all of them out, who's next? I think we're next. I think you already see they already like tapping on the birthright citizenship, see what they can do with that, see if we can get rid of that. And then any other civil rights that we got back in the 60, 65, that they're knocking on, trying to say, hey, what can we do to get rid of any of these? To get rid of people of color, to get rid of anyone that doesn't look like them. So that's the plan. So all other foreigners, you're up next. One of y'all up next. Anything they can think of to get you out of here, they're gonna do it. So instead of waiting until it's your turn, you should join forces and voice your voice. Is it voice your voice? Open your mouth and say something to address the issue that we're dealing with at hand. So did anybody learn anything about this immigration this evening? Did anybody learn anything? I hope you did. So we need compassion. I think we are lacking in compassion here in America. So think about it. So again, thank you for tuning in. Pray you have a good evening. Let's talk about it. Have a good night. God bless.